When I reviewed Dark Souls 3 for AusGamers.com, I spoke of explorers and tourists. And because Elden Ring is essentially Dark Souls 4, I think it's worth recalling. Explorers want to discover things. They want to cut their way through thick jungle, past dangerous flora and deadly fauna as they try to see the undocumented. Tourists want to follow along on that path later, once it's paved and the maps are drawn and the perils are understood enough to make them no longer as perilous. They want an experience adjacent to, but not the same as, the explorer. Neither type of player is right or wrong or good or bad or anything like that, but the Elden Ring network test is currently very skewed in favor of the explorers. It's a first look, after all. Nothing here is final, none of it's locked in. Very few people are entirely on one end of the spectrum or the other. There aren't many pure explorers or tourists. I'm definitely not a pure explorer. I'm more lost in the wilderness with just enough survival knowledge to get by. But I'm back from my adventure and I can share with you what I know. Elden Ring is amazing. It's an open world Dark Souls game, which at first blush might not be that appealing. Dark Souls level design is a very particular thing, and generally the few times the series has attempted to broaden an area, it's seen mixed results. Swamps are the worst thing about every Dark Souls game, except for the Bed of Chaos. And coincidentally, they feature the series' broadest level design. There's something about the narrow, focused approach that has always worked for the Souls games. So I was skeptical at first, and I immediately noticed its impact. Elden Ring initially feels overlarge and empty, and I struggled to find anything to fight. After the starting tutorial area, which is completely skippable by the way, bearing nothing of any use and not enough souls to be worth the time, you're thrust into the main world, given the opportunity to go wherever you want. But instinctively, I headed straight ahead. That's a mistake. The giant, horse-bound tree sentinel knight will mess you up, and once you sneak past him, it can be tough to find a decent fight in his direction. That's the tricky part of Elden Ring. Souls games are about training your instincts. The series has spent dozens of hours getting you to form a muscle memory, but you need to reject that impulse to find success in ER. You need to draw from a different well. To win at Elden Ring, you need to think like Skyrim. The first thing you do in an Elder Scrolls game is head away from the main objective, right? You don't go to Whiterun, you go somewhere else. And in Elden Ring, you're presented with your main goal in From's classic understated manner. The giant castle next to the glowing golden tree in the distance is obviously where you need to be, even if there isn't an objective marker flashing up for you to follow. In Elden Ring then, you want to go away from that castle. Head right and you'll find yourself in a swamp. Again, ignore your Dark Souls instincts. This swamp is actually good. It's also technically a lake, though there's nowhere deep enough for you to fall in and drown. By the way, you can't swim in Elden Ring. If you resist your Dark Souls instincts and explore this mosquito-filled, knee-deep brown water-having lake, you'll quickly realize how Elden Ring works. How it's a Souls game in a different skin, a wolf in sheep's clothing. How the freedom to go wherever you like is just a new way for From Software to let you tie your own rope. And as you lean on your open world exploration sensibilities, you start to see how the Souls game design philosophy is still there. Elden Ring will happily let you warp around the map at will, fast traveling to any bonfire you've found. But Souls players will know to only use that when they're certain they're skipping well-worn ground. After defeating a boss and technically finishing a dungeon, ER will provide you with the opportunity to warp back to the entrance. But you and I both know better than to do that before exploring every inch of the place. I didn't find any hidden walls in my time with Elden Ring, but not for lack of trying. Actually, that brings up another thing in the network test. There's no weapon durability system in Elden Ring, and I hope they never add one. Suck it. Breath of the Wild. I definitely got Breath of the Wild vibes from Elden Ring, actually. Even if your mobility options in ER are very restricted compared to Nintendo's best game. You can't climb, and if there's a paraglider, I never found it. But there are other hints of that Zelda game's influence in the way you interact with the world's systems. The weather effects, the long distance world building, the way that tree sentinel dude reminds me of Lionel's. I think Breath of the Wild fans will get a lot out of this game, even if they are just biding time until BOTDW2. But more than that, I thought Elden Ring did a good job of making something a lot of people might enjoy. You can sword and board it pretty easily, just holding block to make sure you don't die when you miss your dodge rolls, and taking single swings when the opportunity presents. The magic options require some learning, but they are powerful once you get a handle on them. The truth is, I found it quite easy, and there are loads of options for increasing your power that don't involve the sort of near impossible, I'm doing air quotes, combat the series is renowned for. For a lark, I went ahead and made a brand new character, and I had them rocking a killer katana after one boss fight. And it's a giant boss type, the second easiest Souls boss type after giant blob types. If I'd gone a strength and faith build via the champion, I could have had him fat rolling in chunky armor about 15 minutes after I spawned. No boss fight needed. I could have been two-handing a greatsword that nearly 3 hits the final boss of the network test by that time. And that's because Elden Ring is amazing the same way Dark Souls has always been amazing. Because it's a game where knowledge is king. If you know what you're doing in Elden Ring, nothing can stop you. But here, instead of being locked into a path and utilizing that knowledge one beat at a time, you're able to use whatever you know as soon as you're out in the world. Suddenly, it's easy to find something to fight because you know where to go. And knowing how to quickly unlock your horse, simply sit at 3 overworld bonfires, stops it from feeling overlarge. And regarding it being easy, the cool thing about being an explorer is the way this knowledge slowly unfolds for you. But the great thing about going back in as a tourist is that even with the knowledge, the challenge still exists. I found it easy, especially once I knew what I was doing, but it was by no means simple. It still required patience and attention and investment, which is what I love about From Software's Souls series. The truth is, I don't get hyped for games anymore. The last 2 years have shown that to be a good way to get cyberpunked. But Elden Ring is doing an open world game with classic Souls style gameplay, and even though I didn't think that could work, it's got me fighting my instincts hard. Thanks for watching. Go and read the full script on AusGamers.com, or if you don't want to read it because you've already listened to this or watched this or whatever, or if you don't want to read it because you've already watched this, just click on the link, open AusGamers, and leave it open for like 3 minutes, because that'll be really helpful to me, with ad block off. Listen to my podcast, thegapodcast.com. We're going to talk about this in even more depth, although I will continue to try to not go spoiling everything for everyone. And if you got into the network test that kicks off this weekend, I really hope you have a great time. Try to be cool to the other explorers of the world that you'll be in. Just be cool to people in general. Anyway, that's all I got. Love you. Bye.